So since Ryan Day showed up here, first as the offensive coordinator in 2017, then took over as a head coach in 2019, there have been 5 notable quarterbacks from the Ohio State football team who have transferred elsewhere. 4 of them at least started one game, and 3 of them became full-time starters somewhere else and had a level of success. Joe Burrow, after losing the battle to Dwayne Haskins, transferred to LSU, had a pretty good 2018, and then we all know what happened after that. Tate Martell was the backup to Dwayne Haskins in 2018, and he was the 4th-string quarterback in 2017. Ryan Day brings in Justin Fields. Tate Martell transfers out to Miami. Never really turns into much after that, but obviously he was a hot commodity in terms of names when he was at Ohio State. And then Quinn Ewers, originally a perfect-rated recruit, showed up here 6 months early and left 6 months after he got here and ended up at Texas. And now he's been Texas' starting quarterback for the last 3 years and is coming off a big win over Michigan this past weekend while also getting to the college football playoff a year ago. And then there's Kyle McCord, who was Ohio State's starting quarterback in 2023, and now he's transferred to Syracuse, and he has them 2-0, which includes a rank win. I'm Stephen Means, that's Andrew Gillis, and that's Stefan Krajisnik. Stefan, Ryan Day was talking about some of this stuff on Tuesday when we got to talk with him during Ohio State's off week. Is Kyle McCord's success at Syracuse so far, is Quinn Ewers' success at Texas, is Joe Burrow's success at LSU a good thing for Ohio State?
Yeah, I think so, because it's not like, while they've been leaving, Ohio State's been struggling, right? Like, they've still been in a good spot. They've still had the C.J. Strouds and the Justin Fields, and so far, Will Howard's had a good season. I think if nothing else, Ryan Day can point to that and he'd be like, hey, even if, this is the recruiting pitch, of course, hey, even if you come here and you're not starting from day one, you can have a really good career. Obviously, you want them to have a good career at Ohio State, but it's going to be appealing to players to know that even if they come to Ohio State for a year or two and they're not necessarily starting and then they decide, hey, I'd rather go somewhere else, you're going to develop and be really good. Obviously, Kyle McCord got a lot more experience than, a guy like Quinn Ewers or Joe Burrow before they left, so that's kind of an outlier in that sense. But he was also a guy that before he started got some time, kind of just being in the program and growing comfortable in the program, kind of learning, the offense and Ryan Day's offense, which I think applies to the pro-style game, but also to a lot of college programs as well. So I just think overall it's easy to make a recruiting pitch and just say, hey, you might not start day one, you might not start at all, but you could have a really good career even outside of Ohio State if it doesn't work out, with the main goal being that it does work at Ohio State, of course. But it's just an easy thing to point to and be like, hey, this is a place that's churning out quarterbacks in the NFL, at Ohio State, and also other places in college football.
Andrew, is that the right way to go about it on the recruiting trail when you're trying to get a high-level quarterback in every single cycle? Just get them all in a room, and you'll probably end up with the best of which. But even if the guys who don't play here, maybe they're starters elsewhere and they're still making an impact on the sport.
It's the best way to go about it if you're Ohio State. I think maybe fans might misconstrue this. When Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and everybody on Ohio State staff meet with Tavian St. Clair, they're not saying, hey, man, you can just transfer to Cincinnati at the end of this if it doesn't work out, right? Like, I want people to be clear about that. Like, they're not saying, hey, if it doesn't work out, you could just go somewhere else and it'd be great. Like, they're telling you, we're going to develop you and we're going to show you the way to be an NFL quarterback. We're going to show you the way to be a successful college quarterback. And that's a positive, and that is kind of what the angle is. I don't think it's necessarily, hey, look, we develop quarterbacks so great that they shine for other teams. It's we develop quarterbacks that are so great that they can start for other teams, that they can go into the big house and beat Michigan, that they can, go to Syracuse and start shredding immediately. Like, they have these type of recruiting pitches. That's where you're focusing in on it. I want people to read that quote and hear that quote and not think, oh, well, they're telling people that, you can just come here for 2 years and then leave. Like, that's not it. They're telling them you can come here. We think you can be the starting quarterback at Ohio State, right? That is the recruiting pitch for these guys. That is what every single one of these players wants to hear, that you can be the quarterback at Ohio State. But it's the development track, and I think that is notable and that is important, because in college football, you can be in a great receiver room like Ohio State has. You can be in a great offensive line room like a program has, or a tight end room or whatever, and you're going to play multiple positions, right? You're going to play multiple players. You're only playing one quarterback. And I've used this example before. It's very much like that scary college class that everybody hears about, where you have the professor go like, look to your left, look to your right. One of you won't be here in the next semester or in the next year or whatever. That's just the way that quarterback recruiting works. So that is a great thing to be able to sell, is not, hey, you can go somewhere else and have a great, career, or you can make it to the NFL, or you can make it to the Super Bowl. If you like, that's not the pitch. It's we develop you at such a high level that this is possible.
They don't want any of them to leave. They've got a 5-man quarterback room right now. Will Howard, Devin Brown, Lincoln Keenholz, Julian Sand, and Aaron Nolan. All those guys are not going to be Ohio State starting quarterback one day. And as you mentioned, they've got a 5-star quarterback in the 2025 class, Tavian St. Clair. They probably want one in 2026. I know they're in on a guy in 2027 who might be a 5-star recruit as well. His name is escaping me right now. But that's also why you recruit the room that way, because quarterback is weird. The recruitment of it is weird. The roster retention of it is weird. The development of it is weird. And Ryan Day has said this before. What if you're wrong? You want to have options. You don't want to put yourself stuck into a corner where this is your guy and maybe he's not that good. Now you're stuck with that guy in those situations. But what you do have to is, what I heard from Ryan Day was that we don't want anybody to leave, but we understand what reality is in this situation. When you've got 5 guys in the room right now, it's unrealistic to think all 5 of those guys are going to spend all 4 years of their college careers at Ohio State. Now, Devin Brown's made it to year 3, and he's been a backup for 2 years. Lincoln Keenholz is in year 2. Julian Sand and Aaron Nolan are in year 1. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this spring when there's another quarterback battle with Will Howard gone. But I do think that it matters what Kyle McCord is doing. It matters what C.J. Stroud did. It matters what Joe Burrow did. It matters what Quinn Ewers did, even though he was only here for a blink of an eye. Because it's to the point of what the statement is, developed here. Come develop here. And also come prove you're the best guy for the job, because we're going to put all these top dogs in a room, and the best man may the best guy win. And 3 times the best guy winning got to New York as a Heisman Trophy finalist. 3 times the best guy winning was a first-round draft pick. Now, obviously, that didn't work out with Kyle McCord, but he's elsewhere, and he's having a pretty successful season as well. This is bye week. I'm Steven. That's Andrew. That's Stefan. Get the text 614-350-3315. We'll continue to have this conversation on Buckeye Talk, wherever you find podcasts. Talk to you guys later.